so be ready. So I don't have to say the metro's in dire straits. It mostly has to do with the way that it's funded today, which is through the Cincinnati City Earnings Tax, which has not kept up with rising costs in transportation, with wages, with healthcare, all of that, and which we as a city have known since actually the 1980s was not a sustainable model going forward. Because every year it brings in, every year expenses go up faster than the growth in the earnings tax. So starting in like 2014, Metro started their Reinventing Metro plan, put together a county-wide system, what that would look like, how it would be funded, which would be primarily through a county sales tax. And since then, we've been hearing every year that there will be something on the ballot, and then it would be pushed, and then we hear that there will be something on the ballot, and it would be pushed again to next year. And here we are now, it's 2019, and there's talk, putting something on the ballot this year or next year, but at this point, we're reaching the cliff. So the projections show that by the end of 2020, there's some accounting tricks, but by the end of 2020, they get to the point where there has to be either significant service reductions or significant fare increases or a mixture of the two. And, the idea of paying more for less is not appealing to me, and I don't feel that it's appealing to most people, especially given what we have already, which is, and I'll be frank, as someone who rides the bus every day, a good bus system if you work downtown, and mediocre if you don't. So last time I was here a year ago, I kind of went over what our system looks like today and then what an expanded system would look like. And just to give like the quick recap, you have here, like here's downtown, we'll say, and then you have these like radial arterial lines that come out. So like one up Vine Street, got one coming up Reading Road, Montgomery, Madison Road over to the east side, Clifton/Hamilton Avenue heading northwest, Coleraine, which kind of branches off of that in the north side, Harrison Avenue heading over to the west side to Cheviot, and then Warsaw Glenway Avenues heading through the Price Hills and up into Westwood. So this sort of makes up the core of the system, and then there are sort of filler lines that fill in the gaps. So there's one that runs like on the city. You have sort of some routes that run through like Queensgate up into the lower Price Hill, and then up into Camp Washington, South Cumminsville, and the north side, just kind of fill in these gaps. And you have these branches that all come up. You have this route that comes out Linwood to Beachmont, out to Anderson Town Center, and then you have some minor but decent sort of cross-town routes. So there's one that runs on like Taft and McMillan through the UC area, and then over to Walnut Hills and Evanston, goes over to Lower Price Hill on the west side of town. There's a route called the 51, which kind of does like a heartbeat sort of thing, because it used to be two different routes that were merged together. And that one kind of goes like this. It runs up Montana from the west side over here, kind of hits UC, kind of goes through the hospitals, over to Norwood, and then it comes down into Hyde Park and Oakley. That's one route. It takes an hour and a half to go from the Western Hills Plaza to the Oakley Transit Center off Ridge Road and Madison. And then there's an outer like North Bend Road into Seymour, into like the Pleasant Ridge area, and it ends over here in Oakley. And that one, it's a good route, and then it connects like this, but it comes once an hour. Yes. So as of right now, there are sort of these smaller hubs outside of downtown. So like over here is the Oakley Transit Center, which is, and then I think it's a great place to wait for your bus, and it's right by all these shopping centers, so you can shop, get all your groceries and whatnot, get on the bus, go home. We have hubs over here in the west side at Glenway Crossing / Western Hills Plaza area. It's a similar deal to the Oakley Center. It's got sheltered waiting areas in a shopping center setting. And then Metro will break ground soon on a north side transit center. There was some like land issues with the city that was keeping that, but that's at Knowlton's Corner over in north side. And then sort of in the uptown area, there's sort of a scattered sort of transit hub by UC and over by the hospitals. So we'll call that like uptown transit. This is Glenway Crossing, north side.
Where are they located?
So, University of Jefferson, over by the University of Cincinnati.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Over by Children's Hospital.
Okay.
And over by Shriners. And then at like Martin Luther King and Clifton Ave, there's a minor sheltered waiting. And that was all built through like a grant that Metro had gotten years ago for this sort of new transit centers. It's a little scattered. That's because the uptown area is kind of scattered in terms of where the big buildings are. So this is where we are now, and then there's Kentucky's side. But for today, I'm going to focus on Ohio. Because Northern Kentucky is a whole other beast. So this is what we have now, and let's say that this is the city of Cincinnati limits. So you're north of like North Bend, north of Pleasant Ridge area, and east of there, and west of Westwood and Cheviot, bus service drops dramatically. So once you leave Zone 1, which is the city of Cincinnati, and then like Cheviot, Gulf Manor, Norwood, St. Bernard, like this sort of inner zone. When the fare in Zone 1 is $1.75 a ride. Once you get out, it's $2.65 a ride. And that was a rate that was determined by Metro with City Council, because as the city of Cincinnati is the sole local funder of the system, they get to decide what the fare is, and they get to have control over whether it goes up, down, or what have you. And so, because these outer areas don't pay into the system via their own taxes, and rather the people who like commute in, pay the city earnings tax. But so, because these areas don't actually support it, the fare is higher out here, and that's called Zone 2. Now, once you get outside Hamilton County, there's other zones it gets more and more expensive. The most expensive single trip ticket is from Harrison to downtown, which I believe is like $4.50 each way. That's Zone 5. All this is all assuming that you're in Ohio. You go to Kentucky, there's a whole different fare structure. So this is where we're at now, and the main issue is that most of these routes, yes?
The paper, the Inquirer, carried some information on job location.
Yes.
Just a couple of days ago. How does that information fit with shorten the bus routing?
So I was a little involved with that job hubs creation, just because I've been working a little bit with the Chamber of Commerce as well as OKI, which is our regional planning agency. I actually used to intern at OKI when I was still in graduate school. Now I work as a city planner for Hamilton County. But basically what that jobs hubs data looked at was where are there clusters of like manufacturing, logistics and warehousing, service jobs, and they basically came out with, you have like your Springdale, area up here and up into Fairfield and Butler County. You know, you have downtown, you have uptown, we know that. And then sort of the airport area down here, Eastgate Mall area out here, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, which is a smaller hub out there. And then like Blue Ash, Sharonville, and a couple others that I'm blanking on. But basically what the Jobs Hub data shows is that, you know, you have your main concentrations in the city, which have always been there, but the growth is really in the out 275 loop. So our buses don't go there for the most part. You know, you have some express routes that'll come in the morning, bringing commuters in and go back out in the evening. But if you actually need to get out there in the morning, you either can't or it's like an hour and a half. You know, you gotta transfer, you gotta take the long local route all the way up Vine, just bring to Tri-County Mall area, for example.
Does that data show that we've got the routes where they should be, or is there deficiency in terms of?
So the main deficiency is just that the routes don't go out far enough, and that it takes too long to get out there, even if they did go out all the way out there. So like the downtown and uptown area are fairly well served. You can get there from most parts of the city and out on these major roads out in Hamilton County. But otherwise, it's a pain, you know. And if you have a car, you're probably going to drive to work if you work out there. And if you don't have a car, you're probably not going to work out there, or you're going to have to arrange transportation one way or another. So this is sort of the lay of the land where we are now. And this is all funded by the city earnings tax. And yes?
So, just as a planner, do you have like any kind of longer view perspective on how it came to be that the jobs were located in a way that's so spread out and all over the place? Like, do you have a personal opinion about how that came to be? Is there?
Well, it happened because of the interstate system.
Look at your interstate system.
Yeah. So, you know, you've got like downtown